I'm In with the ARCC is brought to you by StoredTech, your technology, our passion. And now, here's your host for I'm In with the ARCC, Amanda Blanton.
Welcome to I'm In with the ARCC. Thanks for joining us today. I am your host, Amanda Blanton, Vice President, Marketing and Communications for the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today my guest is Erin Krivitski. She's the owner of Erin Krivitski Consulting. Erin, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you. It's good to see you, Amanda. Thanks for this opportunity.
So happy to have you. You know, we've chatted quite a bit before the show. There's still so much I don't know about Erin Krivitski, so I'm hoping to get to know you a little bit more on this show. You and I have crossed paths in multiple areas, probably for my entire chamber career for 9 years now.
I think that's true.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited that you have taken the leap to start your own business. But before we get into that, we got to know about the journey to get here. This is one of my favorite things when I have an entrepreneur on the show is how the heck did you get here, right? And what steps did you take? But not only that, the parts of your journey that led you here, right? Every little decision that you made got you here to this day. It sounds a little corny, but it's true, right? I mean,
agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a feeling that if I took a look at your resume, I would be impressed by, by the experiences and the different not industries, but areas of focus that you have chosen to focus on. And you've helped a lot of people along the way, and now you're continuing to do that, but on your terms. So let's go back. Let's go way back.
If I look back over the trajectory of my career, it's interesting. People are often surprised by the range of careers I've had or work I've done. So it's funny you ask about that. You know, I started out actually as a psychologist. That was my initial training, got my doctorate, and worked in educational and clinical settings for a number of years and doing counseling and that kind of work.
Yeah.
And found myself on a path then towards more of a focus on assessment, which is an element of the work I had done as a school psychologist.
Sure.
And I just really enjoyed that work, that gathering of data and coming to understand how things worked. And so I did some work in educational assessment in more of a corporate setting. And in a big part of that was training as well.
Okay.
And really started to find my initial, this is an area I'm really passionate about. I love doing training with adults, that adult education. So from there, I found myself moving into some different work. I've worked in worksite wellness, in healthcare, doing worksite wellness initiatives. This is where you and I have crossed paths, certainly in the past. I was part of the Chamber's Workplace Health and Wellness Council.
That's right.
Actually, since its inception, I've been in and out of it.
No kidding.
It's true.
Erin, I'm learning something new every day. This is incredible.
I'm back on the committee, too. I'm really enjoying being back at that council. And I did some work in health promotion as well. Okay. And that's really that focus on how do we support people in getting healthy and staying healthy in our communities, our businesses, our schools, and so on. And then really focus, at one point I've been teaching actually psychology as well at the upper level.
No kidding.
History of psychology, counseling psychology, some good classes.
Wow.
And so I really enjoyed that as well. That, again, I come back to this idea that I kept returning to doing training and development because that's really working with adults.
Yeah.
And education for adults is different than teaching kids.
Absolutely.
And so some other areas of then I found myself really moving in that direction of workforce development, staff training, contract training work, learning and development for local businesses.
Yeah.
And that is where I found my passion. No question.
Okay.
Some of the things I really loved doing and found myself, I really enjoy being in front of a group and preparing a workshop and then delivering it and engaging with participants. That is what brings me a lot of joy. And
that's so cool.
I really found myself, I had opportunities in most of my jobs to do that.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest part of that start of my journey, that decision to say, I would really like to focus exclusively on doing staff and organizational development.
Okay.
And that was where, after 25 years of professional experience in this range of industries and range of organizations, locally and regionally, I was ready to choose my own path and how I was going to focus my time, my energy, and really reevaluate my purpose.
Sure. Yeah. And taking that leap, we always call it the leap, right? When you're deciding to leave behind, working for someone else and working for yourself. Was there some research? I feel like you're a researcher, Erin.
You know me well.
Yes.
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good assessment.
So was there like a period where you were doing some research? Like, is it worth it? Is this scary? Should I be nervous? Probably, like what kind of research went into that?
That is a fair question. And I think a really important one.
Yeah.
I had this vision. I had worked with consultants over the years in varied capacities, and I always thought, gosh, I really that's amazing. They get to really, focus on their areas of expertise and get a chance to work with a range of organizations. And I was like, I could kind of envision myself doing something like that, and began envisioning what I could do as a consultant, solely focused on staff training and organizational development. And then there was a lot of me researching and processing, questions, fears, hopes for the outcomes of that. And then I found myself changing my narrative, and I could see myself taking the step. And how did I get there? Because I had consultant colleagues in the business community that were really, really encouraging and willing to share their experiences. I had a lot of conversations, kind of interviews with people I knew, and hey, can I talk to you about your experience and how you got here, and your experiences with owning your own business and what that looks like, feels like. So that was really helpful.
Yeah.
I also made use of the resources that are out there, and that is SCORE and the New York State Small Business Development Center. Those were some key areas. I took the time I needed and did a lot of planning and a lot of conversation and using resource materials that they offered, as well as the support of my family and friends. To really be ready to make the leap. And so I did it in my own time. I took the time I needed to understand the requirements, the steps, the challenges, and how do you start and maintain a business, and realize there's always things I'm going to be learning. There's always opportunities for lifelong learning, which works for me because, I really like lifelong learning. You do, absolutely. I love continuing education, so it's good. But it was a process, and I would say, I had started thinking about this some time ago, and then would step back from it and then return to it. And so it became clear to me that I was ready. Yeah. And you know what, Erin? This is so incredible to me because I always put entrepreneurs in this box, and shame on me, right? Because it feels like it's a journey you do alone. But you've made it very clear that it's not a journey that you're completing alone, because you are doing research. You are interviewing other people, and you are relying on friends, family, colleagues, mentors, right? To give you what you need to not only start that journey, but continue that journey on. You're not doing it alone. Agreed. Not at all. Agreed. And I think it's true. That was one of my concerns. Wow, then if I'm in business with myself, it's just me. Right. And while the staff meetings are great, yes, and the wellness benefits at this company are excellent. It's funny. I found one of the things that's important to me is that continued engagement with colleagues in the business community, and continuing to ask questions and get ideas and get feedback from people. And I think, some of the tools I've used, for example, I joined the Women's Business Council when I started my consultant org. And, this was an opportunity to engage with others. Now I'm in a different place. Before I was getting ready, and here I am now. And I'd like to continue the conversation and hear about some of their history. So agreed. And I know that I can always call SCORE. I can always call New York State Small Business Development Advisor and get support with specific questions. In fact, I have a couple on my list that, it's an ongoing process. It is. Having that support is critical. And to your point, there are a ton of resources out there, a lot of them complementary as well. So, as someone beginning a business may not have a ton of money, that's okay. There are resources out there for you. Yeah. Right. I wanted to run lean as possible to get started. And, so SCORE set me up with some resources to learn about building my own website, for example. And so I had a great person who gave me some insights into it and things to understand about it that That wasn't really an area. I'd worked on websites a little bit here and there, but never built one from scratch, have to maintain it, manage it. So it was things like that where they could score was the broader business planning, New York State Small Business Development, but then it's the marketing piece. It's the details about, considerations of business planning and funding and budgeting.
Sure.
And those were really helpful, and they are free. And that was so critical. And so useful to me.
That's wonderful. Well, Erin, thank you for sharing your journey. I mean, again, you've done so much leading up to this point, but you have found your true passion, and it is that continuing education for adults, and specifically, with staffs of businesses or nonprofits. So before we take our break, if you could just kind of tell us in a nutshell, what exactly do you do, Erin?
Well, the short answer is I help build, expand, and strengthen companies' training initiatives. I collaborate with companies to strategically plan, implement, and evaluate training programs to align with business goals.
Nice.
But you'll have to come back to find out more about that.
Oh, I love that, Erin. Have you done radio before? Maybe a little bit. All right. Well, we will take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to hear so much more about what Erin Krivitski Consulting can do for you and your business or organization. So we'll be right back on I'm In with the ARCC.
Hi, my name is David Cohen. As a project engineer at StoreTech, I focus on upgrading and improving technology that businesses rely on to be efficient and eliminate boundaries to productivity. What's different about StoreTech is the dedication to their customers and down-to-earth approach to IT. Our only agenda is to make life easier for you and your employees and allow you to focus on what's important. It's a true pleasure to be a part of StoreTech. I leave work with a real sense of pride knowing I'm part of such a wonderful team of enthusiastic people with unmatched knowledge and experience. Call us today at 518-793-1111 and see how our team can elevate your business to the next level.
And now, back to I'm In with the ARCC. Here's your host, Amanda Blanton.
And we're back. Thanks again for tuning in to I'm In with the ARCC, sponsored by StoreTech, your technology, our passion. And I'm here with Erin Krivitski, a woman of many, many talents and experiences. But now you are a consultant, and again, working with teams, staff, organizations to just do things better. So let's dive into that. What are the pieces that bring together your services?
Sure. So Erin Krivitski Consulting, as part of that, I'm offering customized staff and organizational development services, striving to promote company success at the individual, the team, and the systems level of an organization.
All right.
Because I think the interplay of those are so critical.
Yeah.
And how I'm going about that is using training strategies, data-informed planning. We're striving to change workplace behaviors, thinking, and processes through training. So training is about making change.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
And I think that's something that, is really critical to step back and think about. And one might ask, so why do we have to do training?
Right.
I mean, really, what's this training thing?
It's not everyone's favorite thing, right?
Sometimes I get that impression. Sure. I happen to love it, but that's just me. So as we know, really effective training influences any number of things. Employee onboarding experience. You're bringing in a new employee. Imagine how they're being trained when they start at your organization.
Yeah.
Training influences retention. We know that turnover is expensive. So we want to retain employees with skills, and we want to build staff knowledge and skills in the workplace so they're productive and they're effectively communicating with their team members and other colleagues throughout the organization. We know that training can influence the customer experience. We know that ultimately it's something that might inform succession planning, too, as you look at individuals who might be leaders in the future.
Oh, so true. Yes.
And ultimately, training should be linked back to progress towards strategic business goals. Mm-hmm. So depending on the organization, I might be supporting them in different ways. I'm really striving to meet companies where they are on the continuum of training programs, resources, staffing, and goals. So what I mean by that is I might be working with them to assess staff training resources. Okay. So that might be taking a look at what do they have for training in place? What kind of learning management system do they have? What kinds of programs do they already offer? What kinds of tools do they use to train? Mm-hmm. Who is doing the training? As well as, so that might be, sometimes people refer to that as a needs assessment as well.
Sure.
And then data is such a critical element, and I like data.
I'm
one of those people. So what I mean by that is maybe I'm working with an organization to review and analyze and revise and refine their survey tools or their assessment of training outcomes. So that might incorporate a variety of approaches. It's not just surveys, but really taking a look at that. Is it meeting their needs? Is it giving them the data they want so that they have data over time to compare and contrast? Did the training achieve the outcomes we were striving for? Do we need to adjust? How is it contributing to business goals? So taking a look at that, maybe bringing in some of the data around, employee engagement, and so on. All of that data can really help to contribute to understanding an organization and their needs and where there might be opportunities to expand.
Yeah.
I might also be working with a company to create a customized Train the Trainer initiative. Internal training programs are critical. If you have a staff with skills and capacity and know the business who are training other staff, we want to make sure that we're building a sustainable internal training program so it's meeting the business needs. And that might look at standardizing things like understanding of training tools, strategies, and goals.
Sure.
And understanding of key concepts, because one might be very good at their job, but teaching someone else to do your job requires a significant amount of reflection on what you do, how you do it.
Yeah.
So there's some, really important content, and this is an area I love, those best practices for adult learning, instructional planning and implementation. How are you sequencing? What are the activities, the feedback process? It might be around doing some technical writing or process documentation to support implementation of training in the workplace, because a lot of people are like, oh, I went to training today. Check.
Yep.
Great.
Now what?
Yeah. And so that is where I think the alignment with what are the business goals, what are we striving to achieve, how does training line up with that, how does it contribute? All those things are so important, and an area, the systems level has always been a significant interest to me.
Yeah.
In healthcare and education, in corporate settings, in the business world.
You can apply it anywhere. Yes.
Exactly. Because ultimately we're supporting change in knowledge, skills, and attitudes in the workplace.
Sure.
Another thing I also offer, another service, is facilitating workshops and webinars. Maybe a business is looking for a specific workshop, a lunch and learn, a program focused on specific areas that they need somebody with a particular expertise in.
Yeah.
So that might be something around communication, that internal, external customer service, effective listening, relationship management, social interpersonal skills, conflict management in the workplace, culture of the workplace, those kinds of concepts, because they're, again, all interrelated.
Absolutely.
And then another example might be resilience. And, I think that's a critical area. How are we thinking, feeling, acting to manage and recover from challenges and move forward? And that might incorporate things like managing stress and personal, professional stress and all of these elements of communication in the workplace and workload and that sort of a thing, and building some skills in those areas.
Yes. And, and hearing you talk about all these, Erin, it's important to go back to business owners, organization runners, whatever you'd like to call them, don't have time a lot of times to think about all these things. That's where consultants do come in, because you're that outside perspective. You can come in, you can listen, you can absorb what's currently going on and what needs that business or organization may have and how you can fulfill them. That's truly valuable.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I agree. I think there's tremendous benefit. I've been an internal trainer at organizations. Yeah. There's a real benefit at times to bringing in outside help, especially like when you speak of maybe you don't really have somebody focused exclusively on training. Sure. Some businesses are kind of incorporating it in. Sometimes they have one person. Sometimes it's part of HR among the zillions of other things that they're doing.
Yeah.
Training is an element. And this is where I focus and can help build and support that process and striving to really integrate it into that organization in collaboration with them so that they can sustain it over time and build and move forward with that to support their business. So, striving to build on what exists and then helping to advance or expand the approaches, the tools they're using, so that they can get the most benefit from training and that meets their particular business needs. So a real focus for me is that customization. So helping to understand a bit about the business really helps me to customize as much as possible.
That makes total sense. And so you could come in and kind of revamp a process that's already happening, or maybe they don't have any processes, right? Like you could just come in, great, we're starting from scratch. These are my ideas, right?
Right, absolutely. And then, or somewhere in between where maybe they have some things in place and then we find some gaps where, boy, it'd be helpful if we had a program focused on this or resources related to this.
Absolutely.
And so I like that continuum of businesses and business needs. I'm happy to work and talk with businesses about that.
That's wonderful. Are you willing to work with teams of all sizes?
Absolutely. I mean, really, my ideal client is organizations striving to build, expand, and strengthen their company's business and training initiatives. So, I enjoy working with a range of employers, multiple industries. I have already done so in this community over the past 25 years, worked with a variety of individuals throughout manufacturing, retail, nonprofits, healthcare, you name it. So, so I really enjoy that range and the size of business. Absolutely. There's a really interesting experience in a smaller business versus a mid-size versus large. And I see the importance of training in all of those.
Wonderful. Okay. That's good to know. So let's talk a little bit about the actual process. Someone gives you a call. You have do you have like what I like to call a discovery phase?
Yes, I do.
Tell us about it.
Sure. So I invite people to schedule a free meeting with me.
Wonderful.
I'm happy to do an introductory meeting to get to know and talk a bit and understand their specific needs.
Sure.
I have kind of my own intake interview, if you will, talking about their training programs, their goals, what they've achieved, where they'd like to go moving forward, and identifying where I might be a good fit to support that process.
Wonderful.
And then offering up a proposal for their consideration and some discussion about what we're striving to achieve and working out the details from there. So
wonderful.
That's really that. Yeah, I think that's so important, that initial conversation to truly understand what's happening, where are they now, where would they like to go, and what are some options for getting there, and what are the resources or existing internally that can support that.
Absolutely. And Erin, I know you're still very much in the beginning phases of your consultant work. I understand you already have some clients, which is great. Congrats.
Thank you.
But is it your vision to continue working with your clients even after you feel like you've helped them get to where they need to be, but is it your vision to kind of check in, maybe to make sure things are going well, see if they need you still?
I think it would really depend on the client and their specific needs in that area.
Yeah.
Some might be looking for kind of a one-time coming in and helping us with a specific project, and others might be looking for more building items or programs or initiatives over time, starting in one place and moving toward a future goal. And so maybe it would be an ongoing relationship. Certainly, I'm always happy. I always like to talk to people about how things are going. I even look back on some of the historical work I had done in terms of wellness, and I'm like, I wonder how that's going.
Okay. That's great. So you're open to it. whatever it looks like for the client.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. Well, Erin, we're already nearing the end of the show. What else would you like to add in before we wrap it up?
Oh, I appreciate that. I think my last call to action to our audience today, I invite company representatives who manage training to schedule a free introductory meeting with me to discuss their current initiatives and organizational development goals. Please go to my website at www.erinkrivitskiconsulting.com. I'm also in the ARCC member directory under consultation, training, and women-owned businesses, so you can get more information and contact me through those sites as well. And I want to thank you again for this opportunity to chat today, Amanda.
You're so welcome.
And thank everyone for listening. I appreciate it.
You're so polite. I love it. Thank you. I hope you do get a lot of calls because, there are businesses out there that are like, we're fine, we're doing great, we can do it on our own, maybe not realizing that having that outside perspective and what the benefits could be of working with someone like Erin Krivitski Consulting, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you for sharing your journey with us. And we're wishing you all the best of luck. I know you're going to help a ton of people in our community.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're so welcome. And that's all the time we have for today on I'm In with the ARCC. Be sure to tune in next week.